Okay, here's what's going to be, I believe this is part 3 on this job now. I'm going to set a few things down here for a bit. I know I said I was going to get this all tied up, but frankly I needed to come in here to check a few things first. Okay, here is the slot for where the original radio went. Obviously here's these factory connectors I was telling you about. And as you can see, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 8 sitting in that one. But that one's only got 5 of them connected. And you can clearly see that yellow cable. So this is obviously the power block, whereas this black one is obviously the speaker wires. I really wish I could get this thing to like hang outside of that slot. And then of course there's the antenna cord, which we have no idea if it even works or not, because it was in fact actually plugged in to this. My factory stereo. If I can show this on the camera, you can see the hole. Right here where that went. Pretty big, so yeah, that's going to be just fine as far as the one I have goes. Now, the front of this, you can see these 2 loops on each end. Those were the removal tools, and you can see how those are going back into the radio there. I can't get a real shot of how it actually worked. I think what happens is basically the radio's got these pins here, and I bet, yeah, it flexes in, and as you can see, and the front edge there, which the camera's having trouble focusing on, is like a flat that if, yeah, you can see there's a little lip right there. There's a little flat edge sticking right above this little hole here. That, I believe, just kind of catches on the edge here, and then you just push those in, and then it's able to slide past it, much like the latch on a door. And then this little metal bar there acts as the rest of the support for everything. So now, let me see if I can get a shot of the upper side here. As you can see, we've got kind of a serious problem because the cage that this other radio wants to go in, and in fact I can, now that I think about it, I can actually just grab this and directly show you. This is going to be really, really difficult to do one-handed, but sorry about the awkward camera angles, but like I said, this is going to be a bit difficult to do without having 2 hands. Yeah, it doesn't exactly sit flush with the hole. But there you go. And yeah, I know everybody says you're supposed to connect the wire harness to these wires before you actually put the little cage in, but you know what? It's obviously not that much to get them to set outside of the cage. In this case, it's real easy to do. What's going to be the fun part is I don't know what to connect to all that with because of, you know, ground purposes. I mean, there's really not a lot I can attach to there. And the other thing is that these pins here were all supposed to be bent in to try to help hold this thing in, but it looks like the only thing I'm going to actually be able to do is basically just try to bend them so that they just kind of catch on this edge on the sides, and between that and the friction fit of, you know, tightness of this cage sitting in the hole is going to be the only way that this is actually going to hold in the car. I'm not happy about this setup, but I mean, that's what we've got to work with. So now that you've seen the sleeve going in, and you can see what these connectors look like, and the antenna wire, that's this little male pin dingus here, and what this looked like. I mean, obviously, like I said, you might be able to see that in a video. You just pull this out and you see it kind of rocks that in, and that just pops it from the edge of that. I guess I must just not have been pulling this other side far enough to actually get its pins to work. I mean, as you can see, it goes down just fine when I grab it there. I must just not have been pulling on it right the first time. I don't know why. You know, you can see this is the ugly little beast that we're replacing. I mean, yeah, you know, bass and treble and all those kinds of controls and everything, but it had terrible everything, really. This volume knob right there, you push it in to get the clock, and you also use that and one of these, either the seek or tune buttons over there, to actually change the minute and hour on the clock. And that was all you could do. And then, of course, it had a cassette player, because this car is apparently old enough for that. So, come here, you. I had, again, the camera light's fighting me here, but I had one of these old things, the little wire coming out of it, so you know, pop your cassette into your player like that, and had this wire coming out, which goes to one of those, and you'd plug that into like your phone's headphone jack, or maybe an iDevice or something like that, and that's how you played audio. And it was inconsistent with audio volume because the magnetic head that went in here on that adapter was just spring-loaded, so the way you loaded the tape in here and how hard you pushed it in and such changed the audio properties of everything. So I brought a screwdriver to try and use on those, but now I'm not really sure which ones to lock down or how that's going to hold in there. So I'm going to have to kind of look over this a bit, and I need to take my wires back in there and get them actually bundled up now that I have an idea of what's going on. And then the next order of business is I'm going to be looking at stuff in here to try and get an idea of what the heck I can do for ground connections. And, well, we're just going to have to kind of play by ear with this crappy tray setup and hope I can ground it out somehow, because if I don't, I'm going to fry the radio. So I'll get back to you guys when I can get this all worked out, and we'll get another part up, which will obviously end up being the real meat and potatoes of everything, because that's when I'm going to actually be getting that mess plugged onto those two things, and getting my radio actually out here and connecting it to all this stuff that's hanging out of the hole here long enough to me to actually power it up for the first time, and I hope, and see if I've actually got myself a new radio. Thanks for watching, and I'll have another part coming in just a little bit here.